My mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice is cold. I'm only here to even a score. Whoa. My mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice is cold. We down right now, but did it before. Whoa. See from here we going up. Made the call, I shown up. Now the game is sewn up. Say my name is blown up. We up, 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 we up. See from here we going up. Made the call, I shown up. Now the game is sewn up. Say my name is blown up. We up, 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 we up.
Roger, and welcome to United One's episode 110. As a reminder, we are the only podcast that features a former UCF national champion, a former UCF radio host, an ESPN analyst, a hoops player, an infamous rapper, our resident influencer, and IG stars shooting the breeze talking UCF sports. Remember to like and follow us on YouTube, IG, and check out the 70-plus team and conferences on the College Huddle and the Big 12 Huddle. I will be doing some more content for us later this week with a Texas Tech insider, and then we'll also they'll be doing it for us as well. So we'll have a separate YouTube post about that. So make sure you check that out. Also, we have to talk a little bit about Houston. That one hurt, man. And we cooped it. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about Texas Tech and what to expect there. We've got some familiar names on that team, so we'll talk about them. We have some questions, obviously, coming out of the game about Tayven Jackson, about Davi, about Frost, what the future is, all of that fun stuff. Then we'll also get our score predictions, talk a little bit of other UCF news. There's some big things happening, and a State of the Union on UCF athletics, the Big Ten deal that was recently being bandied about, and other UCF sports that we don't talk about. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get the crew on stage. We'll start with the one, the only Trey Neal. Welcome to the show, bro.
Go Dodgers, baby.
It's Doyers. It's Doyers.
Yeah, I gotta be able to root for one team, man. I can't.
Yeah, I know. It's tough sledding out there, right? Joe Burrow's back to practice for my NFL Bengals. Though.
They said he may be coming back for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that'll be interesting because he was not expected back that fast. And with turf toe, I don't know, man. That's never a good thing and never easy to recover from. So we'll see what happens there. Yep. All right, next to the stage, since Trey just decided to disappear, I think he went on a potty break. Let's go ahead and bring Alan Levin to the stage. What up, Alan?
What up? I'm glad we can hear you.
Yeah, I know. That's why we have post-production, folks. Thankfully, nobody saw that. But glad you're back. Love the night script. All right, go ahead and take off that hat and let's do the hair flip. There it is. All right. Well,
I thought I heard a toilet flush.
Yeah, well, it sounded like it, didn't it? Well, you know what Trey's pregame was. That being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's start a little bit with the text talk. So, if you guys would go ahead and bring up a couple of texts from the game, there was a lot of choice words. There was a lot of frustration, especially towards the end of the game. But there was a lot of bright spots too. I mean, we had the defense showed out, especially Philip Duhnam. We'll talk about him a little bit. It earned him Defensive Player of the Week awards. And I think, and I'm pretty sure about this, he is the only player in UCF history to have 3 picks in one game, which is absolutely crazy. And Trey, when we start talking through that, I'd love to hear what that means and how hard that is in your own words as a DB and a safety, having played for UCF. But let's go ahead and start with that text talk. What you guys got first?
I'll say AP. Remember, I said we're going 4-8. So, I mean, it's a good prediction. Good call. I'll give it to him. I had 6-6, so maybe it could still happen. But 4-8's 5-7 is looking likely. I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, there's a lot of negativity on our WhatsApp chat. Obviously, when you lose a game in that fashion, heartbreaker with a chance to tie and go to overtime. Second time that's happened this year, we had a chance to tie and go into overtime, and we can't do it. So I mean, it's hard to really pinpoint a text that I sat there and was happy to read, other than maybe, a couple moments during the game when we had a lead or made some comebacks. But yeah, it was tough.
Well, we led pretty much the entire game. I mean, 4 turnovers on Houston, same recipe that West Virginia used the previous week to win. The difference was we just could not put a cohesive offense together.
All defense again. I mean, it's unfortunate that you had a nice effort, 4 total turnovers in the game, and you couldn't capitalize. That makes you think if it had 0 turnovers, that might have been a very ugly game for UCF. But I mean, shout out to the defense again, making some plays.
Well, think about that. I mean, if you went into this game and I told you we'd get 4 turnovers,
I'd say it's a win.
100%, right? 100%. And this particular game is more consequential than most because this was our last chance, I think, for us to earn that 6th win and guarantee, I'm going to say guarantee, a bowl game, because we had OSU and right. I think we could have, had we beaten Houston, I think we'd be going to a bowl game right now.
I agree.
And I think, the other thing about all of this is kind of like the last few games of the season, really the past 2 or 3 games of the season. The fan base is just in a complete tizzy right now, like absolute tizzy. And some of it is warranted, some of it is not. It's warranted because of how bad the offense looked, right? 2 games in a row. It's not warranted because we are, I put on here, we are who we thought we were. I think we are, but I think we're also, we are who we thought we were because not necessarily the talent, but the amount of injuries that we've had, including the players that played last week at Houston. I mean, we lost 2, I think it was 3 more to injury during the game. Both our defensive ends, both of our starting defensive ends went out. In addition to that, Tayven Jackson, I mean, we might as well get into it. Tayven Jackson, we learned had a quad injury during the game. So, we were wondering last game and the last game and then this week, why he wasn't moving around the pocket. Earlier on in the season, he was moving around quite a bit. He made that one play right before we went to the bye week where he was going across the field on the run and throwing across his body and had a perfect pass for a touchdown. Last week we commented he didn't move around in the pocket. He didn't run for first downs, etc. I think part of that is, one, it's very hard to run when you've got a hammy. It's very hard to throw when you've got a hammy, and he had that shoulder injury. I just don't think we have anybody behind him. I don't think Scott Frost, Brown, as the rumor is, Brown is sitting out until next season, so he's going to redshirt. Cam's not coming back, right? So that leaves him and Davi. So one thing we have done pretty well, especially from an offensive line perspective this year, has been protect the quarterback in passing situations, right? We've done a pretty good job. PFF scores out consistently in the high 60s, which is good, above average, good to above average. And so I think Scott Frost was trying to save Tayven. I also didn't think he wanted to show anybody that he wasn't mobile, but Houston keyed in on that. There were a lot of 3 and outs in this game, and it ended up hurting us. So what do you guys think? I mean, what do you think Tayven's regression or situation is, and what do you see out of that? Because the difference really in this game for us offensively, as bad as we played offensively, our offensive numbers weren't that bad. If you look at our third downs, we were 5 for 15. Houston was 8 of 16. They were 1 for 3 on fourth downs, right? So granted, they were 50%, so a little over 50% on third and fourth downs, but a lot of that had to do with one number, and that one number is 4.5 yards per attempt, meaning passing attempt, versus 7.2 yards per passing attempt. And the fact that Tayven threw 2, or not Tayven, he threw 1, and then Davi threw another one at the end. We could have still won that game at the very end. That play call was there. Davi was just late with his throw. I don't know why, but again, He hasn't been playing all season. He provided a little bit of spark at the end. He squirted around there. He's fast. He's super fast. And at the end, yeah. Well, I mean, yes. Like, I think he might be faster than JRP, to be honest with you. JRP just is a bigger body and could absorb contact a little bit more. He just absorbed too much contact because he was running all the time, right? But then you look at him at the end zone. If his guy was open, that would have been a touchdown, and that would have been a UCF victory. So after all of that negativity that we've been talking about, this still could have been a UCF victory. We did get a pick 6 this game. Again, offensively, we only put up 282 yards. We've been averaging 450 yards per game. Houston only put up 433 yards. And, you know, there's two things going on here. One, Tayven is one-dimensional. I think we now know why he's one-dimensional, plus the fact that he's got no one behind him. And the yards per attempt just weren't there. So Tayven Jackson plays a lot better ball game when he can run and when he's allowed to run. And when he could be mobile in the pocket to throw the ball down the field. And we just didn't have that this game, and we suffered for it. You know, the other thing, as far as time of possession is concerned, as many times as we went 3 and out, we still had 25 minutes of time of possession versus Houston's 34. They barely beat us, right? Despite having a 10-minute time of possession increase. Now, a big part of that was our offense was, you know, getting off the field way too quick. But this was a very, very winnable game. And I think where the trepidation is coming from the fan base and where the anger and frustration and everything else is, this should be a bowl team. I really do think that they should be a bowl team. I think injuries have hurt us a lot. Horace Lockett's out. Think about all the guys that are out thus far this season. And I think the QB situation is just terrible. And I don't think it's helping that Ja'Cory's sitting out because I don't think Tayven Jackson's healthy. There's just too much of a drop-off between what we saw him do in previous games to these last 2 games. And I think now the problem for us is going into Texas Tech. One, it's not going to be any easier against Texas Tech. You know, we got Lee Hunter on the other sideline, on the other side of the D-line, and we've got all that whole purchase team. And then now we're going to trot back the one quarterback, and everybody knows that he can't run and he can't be mobile. So it's going to be a long game for us. Even if the defense plays even nearly as good and Texas Tech has a good offense, it's still going to be a long game. What were your guys' major takeaways like from this game? Like what do we take away from this game, both positives and negatives, that we take into the remainder of the season? Because realistically speaking, I think I speak for everyone when we say I see one more win on the schedule right now. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, I don't see too many positives from this game. You know, I mean, obviously the defense, sure. I mean, we've talked about that earlier. We know that's the strength of the team, and obviously getting 4 turnovers is noteworthy. There's definitely not too many times in the past 2 or 3 years where I can remember even a 3 or 4 turnover game. So that was cool to see, keeping us in the game. Obviously the pick 6, always very exciting. Definitely haven't had one of those in a while against, you know, a Power 4 conference team. So that was really cool to see. And
on that
fought
pick
there
6,
till the end.
On that pick 6, and Trey, I don't know if you want to jump in and say what was going on there, but he read that play.
He picked the route.
Yeah. He sat on that route, waited, and
He
then
sat on both of those first 2 picks, he sat on the route.
Yeah, he knew exactly what was happening. This team, and I'll say this about this too. Did it come across to you guys like the defense was way more prepared this game? It looked like they'd been in the film room. I don't know what happened during the off week. I know Frost was giving them a lot of time, etc. But from play recognition to route recognition to everything defensively, this team looked way more prepared than they did against Baylor. And Trey, you can probably speak to that too, given your experience.
Yeah, go ahead. Alan, you can finish. I'll hit on it. I'm gonna hit on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I mean, just the obvious negative, the offense. I mean, I think, you could say a lot of things about the season. We could have. I mean, I feel like that's exactly what we did under Malzahn, and every year was the same.
I don't think it's a coulda though. I think it's a should've.
Well, whatever.
Yeah. No, I mean,
yeah.
it's different. It's different. And what I mean by that is, and I'm adding to your point by saying this, right? Like,
Yeah.
this team went from a could have 4-8, right? Is what we started the season with, right? Then it went to a should have a 6-win season. And we had 3 or 4 games now where it's been 1-score games that it looked like we should have won the game. And so,
oh yeah, if we close out even one or two, or I mean, if we close out the 2 games we felt like we could have won at home, Kansas and Houston, we're having a completely different season right now. I mean, right now we're 6-3 instead of 4-5. But at the end of the day, we didn't. For me, like I agree, we've had some injuries, but that's part of the game. And at the end of the day, like to me, that shows one thing: not a ton of depth on offense specifically. I mean, a little bit more on defense. I don't know. I kind of look at this offense, and for me, the biggest takeaway now that we're 9 games into the season, way over the halfway point, I don't think there's a single player that I've seen that I would care came back to UCF. They're eligible. So not Jaden Nixon. He's been great. Miles Montgomery been pretty good, but they're graduating. Of the eligible players to return, I don't think there's a single player that's showed anything. And on top of that, I don't think any young players. What I always look for, one of my favorite things every UCF football season is to see who the next wave of stars are. Like we saw it, Marlon Williams back when he was behind all the receivers. You start to see all these guys emerging. I haven't seen a single player emerge. Now, some of that is injury, like Stacey Gage and some of these other guys, Day Farmer before the season. But at this point, all they are is potential. I haven't seen one single person on the field that I would feel confident that's going to be a good UCF offensive player next year. And that's what concerns me more than anything. It's been frustrating to not see a single player that could be back next year emerge or look exciting. There's been a couple flashes here and there, but nothing like, oh, that's the guy next year. So that to me was the biggest takeaway.
What do you think about Wade and Thomas though? Because I think Wade,
Charles?
well, no, I'm not receiver. I'm talking about our tight end Dylan Wade. So you had Dylan Wade who got hurt like in game 2 or 3.
Yeah, I heard his shoulder. Yeah.
And he, we were running our offense through him early on, right? And he looked good. Then he had the shoulder injury, and then he was out for 2 or 3 games. He came back 1 game and he couldn't even lift his arm up. And now the last couple of weeks, he's looked like he's getting back into form. So I like him. And I think Thomas is the same way. He got hurt, I think 3rd or 4th game. He got hurt. He was out 2 or 3 games. He was another one of those gadget type players that Scott Frost had that was playing at the slot receiver, and we were using him. And then he came back, and you could tell he was not at full speed because he wasn't running at full speed because we saw how fast he was. And then this last game, he looked like it again. So you don't think those 2 could be 2 players that we could take into the future?
They're nice pieces. I mean, I think Dwayne's a little bit younger, so that's good. I'm pretty sure Wade's a junior going to be a senior, so he might have 1 year left. I feel like those to me, and I know it's hard to compare, but like on a 2017 UCF team, like those are like wide receiver 4 and tight end 2. Like that would be amazing. You're like, oh man, our depth is sick. Like, I don't know. I just don't look at any of our players as like,
they're good. They're not replaceable. We have to keep them, must keeps.
Right. I don't look exactly, Trey. I don't look at any of our guys as like top tier Big 12 offensive players at all. Like I think Thomas and Wade maybe start on a few teams in the Big 12, but not by far, not the majority. They're nice pieces, but if you go into that as your top, I mean, they're pretty much the top pieces because there's nothing else like that's really emerged. DJ Black took a huge step back. That's what happens when you take a Division II player. Wade and Charles has showed flashes, but not anything like amazing yet. I know he's young. Chris Domerkant's had a couple flashes. Again, he comes from Chattanooga. Like, I think when you take a lot of guys from D2 FCS, sure, there may be some guys that were, worthy of it and, just didn't get looks in high school. But like, I think that we're seeing a product of like, Wade is a good player for sure. But like a lot of these other guys, like, I think we're seeing like, that's what happens when you take FCS and Division II players. At the end of the day, I'm not saying they're not decent football players, but I don't see the receivers getting separation. I know O-line plays a factor. I know Tayven being not an elite quarterback plays a factor, but like, we can't rely on this offense at all. I mean, the defense very much produced most of this offense in this game.
Well, I would say the last two games, I did see wide receivers open and Tayven just didn't get to him. He was checking down and getting the ball out as quickly as possible. I mean, one look, getting the ball out. He wasn't doing that earlier in the season. That's why I think he's been told, if you see numbers in the box, get rid of the ball, check it down, go to the safe pass, and go, because he can't throw down the field because of his hammy. No. And he can't move or run on his own, so he can't stretch the defense, right? Because then it's a numbers game to at least get even if they're overloading the box. And so they're telling him, just get rid of the ball, because if you go down, we've got Davi, and Davi is, a freshman, had very few snaps. Like, he's
QB4.
Yeah, I mean, if we're rolling with Davi in these games, no shade to Davi and the limited minutes he's done, it's okay. Well, but we're gonna get if you think this offense gets 0 yards with Tayven, you're not gonna get anything with Davi. I mean, other than turnovers and getting the kid killed.
Yeah, I mean, Trey, what do you think? What are you seeing from this offense? I mean, do you see anything that you're like, all right, I could work with that? Or I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think when you say Thomas, you're talking about number 7, right? I'm just making sure. The slot
Thomas. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the speedy or
yeah. So like, I think they're complementary pieces. Like, if we had like an alpha. And I hate this, like a Traquan Smith, a Brashad. Like, if we had like an alpha type receiver that can kind of, even a Javon Baker almost, and make them number 2s, number 3s, like, I'd be a lot more comfortable with the offense, just the weapons. Because like, I think Wade and Charles has potential. Like Alan said, like, they flashed. I've seen great plays or great potential, and I'm like, yep, that's a freshman, or that's a guy that hasn't played a lot of football. I see that more than the flashes, which that's to be expected. But I haven't seen, like, when Traquan Smith was a freshman, his flashes were like, he's the next great one. And I think that's what you mean. Like, I haven't seen that, like, we saw Traquan flash and we're like, okay, like, this is different. Like,
he might have been the best receiver on the team as a freshman.
Yeah, I mean,
he literally was. He, like, George O'Leary went to him and only him, and yes. I remember he was catching passes. I remember this pass. I'll never forget it. He jumped up. He was falling. He jumped so high that his back was on the top of the shoulders of the DB. He was falling over that way, caught the ball on his back in the air, and then fell and completed the catch. I mean, that was Traquan Smith. He had circus catches. Like, he would he would rip the ball out of the air.
Yeah. And I think, like, we haven't, I mean, even to talk about Traquan, like, he was doing that when he was redshirting. He was that defense, like with Terrence Plummer, Brandon Alexander, Jacoby, he was destroying them every single day. And they're like, yeah, we need to save you for next year. Like, we were already loaded at receiver. Let's just save you. But like, I haven't seen that type of guy. And even when you talk about Wade, do I think he's a good player? Yeah. I think he's more Jordan Franks than Jordan Akins. And Jordan Franks was a good player. He wasn't Jordan Akins. Like, Jordan Akins was a 3rd-round draft pick. Like, I think he's still playing in the NFL right now. But like, I think that's where we're kind of lacking. And for me, just watching it, like, I don't want to talk. The pros that I saw, our defense can get turnovers. Granted, 3 of them came from one guy, but that's what you want to see. If you were to tell me, like you said, if we get 4 turnovers, we should win the game. I don't care realistically who we're playing. But it's my only gripe. And I told, like, I remember saying this Houston when we played them in 2016 with that loaded team they played. We were up 24-3 at halftime. I'm like, we know at this time, we know McKenzie's a freshman. Our offense is extremely inconsistent. Our strength was the defense. You guys have to win the game. We can't be like, oh, okay, we're up 21. Offense keeps like that's not how our.
How much more do you expect the defense to do? I mean, they didn't really do anything. They played lights out up until that last drive where they just wore us out. That's it.
But that's the difference between winning and losing. That's the difference between being a great defense and a good defense. It's crazy because I remember having this exact conversation 10 years ago. Like 9 years ago. I remember telling those guys after we lost to Houston and they were all yelling at the offense. I'm like, guys, we are the top 10 defense in the country. We're the ones that say we want to be the best in the country. We have to win the game. We know our offense isn't good. It's inconsistent. We had McKenzie back. Like, we have to close it. And like that last game, I went back and watched it. There's 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They ran the ball for 8 minutes. You're talking about the 10-minute difference. That was the difference right there. It went from 10 minutes to 2.5 minutes. You have to close that as a defense. And I know you guys played amazing. They played great. I'm not taking anything away from them. But to take that next step as just that unit, I'm more so just talking defensively. That's where the great teams become great defenses. You have to close it when there's no other choice, whether it's game over if you don't. And I think we lost to Temple with 1 second left in the exact same scenario. I don't know if you guys remember that game. Like,
yep.
Yeah.
Same scenario. Like, we're up. You have to close the game. We're the best part. That's the best part of the defense. So, but they played great. I don't want to, harp on that. I truthfully think if we had a better offensive line, we'd feel a lot different about our team. I think we cannot consistently run the football. Not north and south. We can get like the bubble screens are really just runs. Ultimately.
Okay, you brought up bubble screens. All right.
That's what they are.
Scott Frost, please stop with the screens.
But okay, so question, Roger.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the show, you said Tayven's only making one read and he can't run.
Right.
What other throws are he supposed to make? He can't throw deep because he doesn't have his hamstring not hurt.
I mean, you got to break it up with slants or, leak a running back or a tight end out or something. He's got enough time where he could sit back and let that develop, from a timing route, and it keeps it within 10 yards for him to be able to throw that pass. I think he with a bad hammy, he can still throw that pass, right?
And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think he's that hurt. I saw him after he threw the pick six. I saw him running after the guy. His hammy looked fine. I saw him make a few scrambles after that. He looks like he made scrambles. And I'm like, okay, well, you're not unserviceable. Now, throwing, that's a whole different ballgame. But as far as just getting, even if it's 3 or 4 yards, I think he can do that. But yeah, I mean, that's my thing. Like, I don't think our O-line is moving. They're not displacing the defense enough. It's more just a stalemate, which it's hard for the running backs unless you have RJ Harvey, and that's no shade to Miles Montgomery or
Miles went out. Look what happened with Jaden Nixon. We've been talking about it. We talked about it, 2 shows ago, or not 2 games ago, where we were talking about, is it time to replace Miles Montgomery with Jaden Nixon?
I just think they're different type of runners, and Jaden is a more explosive player, like significantly more explosive. So those plays that Miles might get tackled in the backfield or no yards. Jaden Nixon, he might get tackled in the backfield too, but he also might turn it to a 5-10 yard game. Like, he's a different type of player. So I think
he's more productive.
Because he's a more talent, like he's a more explosive guy. And I think with our issues on the O-line, he can cover up a lot of those issues.
What I see with him is he's more of a patient runner.
Oh, for sure. Miles is a more of a thumper than a trying to stand and
exactly. He's going to take one cut. He's going to take one cut and run. Now, there's been some games in the second half where he was a little bit more patient and followed his blocks, but he doesn't read. He doesn't read the holes and his blocks as good as what Jaden Nixon does. Now, again, Jaden Nixon's also a 4-star running back, guys.
Oh, he's a big time player.
He's a 4-star running back.
He's a big time guy. So yeah, like that's what I got. I think I don't know what the fans are saying. Like I'm not in touch with that.
They're saying burn it all down. The athletic department is broke. Like,
yeah, that's a little crazy. But like to me, like this is what I've expected all the season. Not necessarily the record, but just the play. Like this is a spitting image of Coach Frost year one, almost 10 years ago. Like
it is.
What it is. And so like
it is, but you saw players like Mackenzie Milton. I think that's the difference.
But see, that's even what Allen talked about. Like there was
you saw a lot of players
flash in the promise. We don't
Adrian Killins. There's a lot of freshmen. Like holy crap! Like
Nelson. You saw Gabe Davis. You saw so many other guys flash, and then even the following year, those young guys flashed. So like you saw the talent there, and you saw it in abundance. Even Jawan Hamilton, like people forget about him, but like those were our a lot of guys made a lot of plays early.
We had O-linemen. One of the O-linemen was on the All Big 12 team. Like what forgot? I'm drawing a blank. He played on the Packers for a little bit. Forgot his name. Cole maybe or one of those.
Cole
Schneider. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you had flashes all over the field, and that's just. And I know different conference, different time, different era, no nil, all this stuff, but like that, like I don't see that at all this year. Like again, there's some.
Well, we knew the line. The line was a rental line anyway.
We knew that. Yeah,
we knew that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just concerning. Like you bring up the point, the fans like the, burn it down. Like when I'm in the heat of the moment, I get mad. I say stupid stuff like that. But now when I calm down a few days after the game, like I don't think that. But I did a podcast on my own page like the other day, and my concern I'm starting to get more concerned with Terry. Like I know
you're finally coming to the dark side.
Well, my thing with him was like, how much is he influencing on-field success? And I don't think I realized how much he played. And I know he hires the coaches, but he's not calling the plays. He's not picking the players. But at the end of the day, like when you start to look, my biggest concern 3 years in now, heading into year 4 next year, every single program, for the most part, the main programs, basketball, baseball, football, are all down and showing very little to no flashes. Like I know the basketball team is doing some good things here and there, but like in general, we're trending down everywhere. And that's what concerns me when you see like since he's been ranked this year, and BYU's been basically undefeated the last 2 years for the most part. And Houston was ranked this year. Like, and I know money, blah, 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 but like, it's starting to get really concerning. So I'm not saying burn it all down, but I think leadership, everything starts at the top. I mean, there's so many examples in sports when they change GMs and it changes the culture and then everything starts trickling down. Like to me, I don't know how much better it can get. Like, sure, Frost can do some things and maybe we have some good years under him, but like if the leadership is broken or not working at the top, at the very, very top of the athletic department, I don't know. I'm concerned. Like, I just don't want to get into a groove where we're like a bottom feeder in the Big 12 for most of the sports programs. And that's what's my concern. I know one GM, one coach can turn it all around. We saw with Danny White and Frost, for example, in 17, 18. But like, as of now, this is trending down and they got to right the ship because it's starting to get perennial, like where every season now is like 4, 5, 6 wins. And like, when we start to talk about, we're getting to close to like half a decade where there's a lot of fan apathy. And that's what's starting to make me a little even more nervous. We know how loosey-goosey UCF fans are. They got to be winning to really build that fan base. And it's taken a nosedive in that respect. Like there's a lot of fan apathy right now. And that's what concerns me.
Yeah. Well, I think even said like, we've won the games we should have won. And we've lost the games we should have lost, to be honest. Just if you would have told me before the season what game maybe the Houston game is a toss-up, but like looking at these teams, we've beaten the team.
Kansas isn't any better than what we were when Tayven was healthy. No, they're not.
So I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying, but at the beginning of the season, we're like, okay, I think AP was 4 wins. Everybody on here was 5 or 6.
Yeah, we're close to where we said we would be.
That's true. So like that's what I'm not saying I don't understand. But like the way we're losing, that's the
problem.
But these are the growing pains. Like these are the growing pains. Like this is what they have to learn. we're getting. I think we always forget just how recent these games that we are losing close. We were losing by 20 last year. We were all like these games were going south quick.
Out. Yeah.
Like to just show a little bit of perspective, these guys are fighting. You can see that part, and I'm not defending. I think there is a part of winning that they need to learn that I think took us an entire offseason to learn. But like
it's that extra strain, right? It's that extra, it's that extra it factor, right?
And I was just saying, like, they don't play with an edge. None of them do. I don't see anybody that just
Cole Kozlowski does.
Yeah, he does, but it's hard when it's one guy. You know, it's hard when it's just one guy. Like Jemias Pittman played to the whistle, if not right past it. All of our defensive linemen play like that. Everybody on defense played like that. And you can point to that was an O'Leary thing. Like whatever that's the reason. But like when the defense started doing it, there's all those.
That wasn't a Heupel thing. Snap the whistle, snap the whistle. He used to say that all the time.
Yeah,
snap
but like
the whistle.
You can ask the offense like that first year. That's next spring. They started playing with an edge because we were pushing them so hard and like we're going to dominate until you guys decide to stop getting beat like this. And like I don't see that edge when they play. Like, do they make good plays? Yeah, but I don't see anybody like you're saying straining that extra finish. You know, like even if I'm not saying get a penalty, but like you should want to put these guys and put them in the dirt all the time. I don't see that, and I think at the end of the game, that's the teams that win. They're the guys that finish.
You know what? You know who I do see it from is Malachi Lawrence. That's another guy I see it from.
Goodness great.
But
he's a monster.
But here's the thing, right? And I hate to use the word but, and here's the thing with all of this, right? When we're looking at it, you said, you know, we expected this. What's the difference? Blah, blah, blah. People shouldn't be upset, all that other stuff. I think the difference is, and we said it earlier, is that this team could/should win at least one of these other games. And that's all we needed because we all feel like OSU is going to be a win. Now, you play the games, right? You play the games, but we've had 3 chances now to get that extra game to get to those 6 wins, right? And to get to a bowl game. That's why I think people are frustrated. And because the last 2 games, our offense has just looked decrepit. I mean, it hasn't put up anything. The defense has played well. It just hasn't done anything. And I think that's where the frustration comes in. Now, back to Alan's point about Terry Mohajir and setting the culture and everything else. Terry Mohajir in that Baylor interview that he did, I talked about it when I was here all by my lonesome because y'all left me alone. But when I was talking about that interview, he kept saying in that interview, this is after all this stuff happened. He says, we've been behind, we've been reactive, we've been whatever. Right? That doesn't cut it. It just doesn't. I get it. You're balancing the budget. I get it. We were working with with less, but and Terry Mohajir has been fundraising, right? He's been fundraising for the football program. And he's been doing a fairly good job on that front. I mean, I don't give him credit for the TDT because the groundwork was laid for that before. But he's been doing a pretty good job of engaging big boosters, not the individual fans. He hasn't been doing the crowdsourcing aspect of it. And because he's been focused on that, he's been disconnected from the fan base and who we are, right? AD, Danny White, what did he do? That man, you know who he reminds me of? Have you guys ever watched like wrestling, like WWF wrestling?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know McMahon, right? He's the guy who owns WWF and all that other stuff. And he was always the guy running in the background, but he always played with that swagger. That was Danny White. He wore the different shoes. You know, he's always wearing Cole Haans with his suits. You know, he would engage with anybody. He could speak to the average fan as well as he could as the higher level booster, right? And we don't have that with Terry. Terry doesn't lead from the front, and that's a problem. He's also made a lot of bad hires in the admin. And what people don't realize, a lot of those people that were here during that we built up over years right? And then that kind of culminated in success in those 2017, 2018, because people forget, we talk about 2017, but we don't talk about 2018 enough. That was a well-oiled machine into 2018. Even 2019, we did okay. We didn't really start hitting any road bumps until like 2020, right? All those people left because they left Terry because he's not a good leader. He's not a guy that should be in charge of UCF's athletics programs. Now, he's done some good things. He's given scholarships to some of the sports teams like soccer, and they've turned that into success, and some of the other Olympic sports. But as far as the major revenue sports and what we are going to be known by, and more importantly, what happens in the next rift, it's football and basketball, and there's been poor decisions on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, we all know football steers the ship. It's no disrespect.
Well, basketball in the Big 12 does too.
Yeah, I'm speaking more like overall the country revenue generating. Like everybody wants to see an exciting football team, no matter who's on TV. You never want to watch a boring football team. Nobody, not the casual fan, not the diehards, nobody. And I don't know enough about all the nuance of the AD like Terry and all of that. I know that Danny White he was a once, like the way we looked at Frost before he came back, like that was Danny White. Like that was a perfect pairing. Frost, Danny White, even Heupel. I mean, he took him with him to Tennessee. Like that was a once in a.
And Tennessee, by the way, is not Danny White's last stop. He's going to get another higher level program again.
A lucky charm, I guess. Like it's going to be hard to.
All right, I think we may have lost Trey. Alan, are you still there, or is it me?
I'm still here. Yeah.
All right, I think Trey. There he is. Trey,
I'm back. You can hear me?
Okay. Yep.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I don't know where I left off, but it's hard to follow.
Lucky Charms, bro. You were talking about Lucky Charms.
It's hard to follow in those footsteps. So I don't know enough about that, that avenue. I know, Roger, you're more, tied into that, but yeah, I mean, this is what I expected. I'm not uberly surprised. Do I think we could have won games? Yeah, but I've lived this exact same thing, and it's like
the challenge with it is a lot of these guys are not going to be here next year. So all the lessons, the hard fought lessons you learn on making it through the hard times, they're not going to carry over till next year. Right now, talking about Wade, he had 6 receptions for 80 yards, averaged 13.3. Okay. He was our leading receiver. Jaden Nixon was next up, 3 for 32, 10.7. Now, again, that was because Tayven Jackson was 15 of 29 for 136 yards, a 20.8 QBR. And by the way, for those of you talking about Davi did good getting, he does well with his feet. He just made a mistake, a freshman mistake, young guy thrown into a situation, etc. Scott Frost was asked about that. Like, why did you throw him in that situation that late? And he said, just needed a change, right? We needed to drive. We needed to get a change. And guys,
I thought he said Tayven got hurt at the end there.
No, he got hurt before earlier in the game. He had a hammy. He had a hammy.
I'm not even really mad at Davi for the play. It's more like,
no,
you're down 3 and we're in field goal range with the timeout already. Like, and
yeah, but Frost said it was third down.
Out of my nature.
Yeah, it's out of my nature. It's third down. We're going to take one shot, and quite frankly, it was the right call. Had it been not Davi and somebody else that was back there that was a little more seasoned or experienced, he would have thrown.
That's why I feel like it's the wrong call, though, because it was like, I just like I put this on the notes, like talking about some coaching decisions that Frost made. I mean, we can't overlook now that Frost is, I think I have it on there, 5-24 in his entire head coaching career, all 2+ years at UCF and 5 at Nebraska, in 1-score games. And it's I think he made some bad decisions.
Hold on, is that 5-24 in 1-score games? And I'm assuming this is yes, but I just want to make sure we're clear on this point. Not like games. So 5. So he's only won 5 games out of 24 if it's within
29.
one score.
5 out of 29 that, yes, he's 5 and 24 in games decided by 8 points or less, 1 possession games. So he's lost all those, 24 out of 29 games that have been decided by 8 points or less. And look, what happened to Nebraska, I'm going to wipe that clean. It is what it is, but you do have to put that in his totality of his coaching career.
Especially if you don't shake it. If you don't shake it, you're going to have no choice but to look back.
Right, exactly. And you look at the Kansas game, we know there were some late game decisions there that were bad. And in this game, I don't fault the decision to bring in Davi Belfort. Tayven Jackson was doing nothing to the point where the fans were booing on offense. But why in the very last possession, do it mid fourth quarter, beginning fourth quarter?
I'll tell you why.
Somewhere.
I'll tell you why.
I'll
tell you why. Because we didn't have any more possessions because the Cougars ran it down our throats.
There were other possessions in those quarters. There's at least
there was only one, I think maybe 2 possessions. That was early on in the fourth. They had most
10 minutes to the 2-minute the last drive.
They 8 minutes out of 15 minutes.
It wasn't working
on one possession. So I think we only had a total of maybe
2.
3.
I think
was it 2? Okay. We had 2 possessions in the fourth quarter. You started off with Tayven Jackson. He didn't do anything. You bring in Davi,
3,
right?
Yeah, so 3, yeah.
Okay, so 3. So you bring Davi in
on the first one.
You bring Davi in. He provides a different wrinkle, right? Tayven Jackson wasn't able to throw, wasn't able to run.
Right.
Davi,
I don't fault the decision to change.
Hold on, let me finish. Well, look at it this way. We had good field position. Houston had been used to Tayven. We put Davi in there. He's got fresh legs. He's able to scoot, and it was the right decision. He marched us down the field, got us within, what was it, 20
plus, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was field goal range either way, yeah.
It was easily field goal.
We just saw our kicker make a 54-yarder before.
Yeah, we were in field goal range 28 yards ago. Yeah. He had I think he got 1 or 2 first downs to get there, right? And then we're on the third down, time's running out. We got to burn some clock anyway. You either run, we're already in this in the center of the field, so you do a quick pass, see if you can get the score and win the game. Because on the fourth down, you still have enough time on the clock that you need to run the clock down. So you've got 1 free play to be able to throw the ball and see what happens.
I get that. I guess it's just frustrating.
I don't fault him for it. If he didn't go for it and we kicked the field goal, then they know Davi's in there and they're not surprised. They make the adjustments and they come out in the second half in overtime. And then what?
I'd rather take our chances in overtime, home game, space game. I'm not saying Houston wouldn't have won in overtime.
Yeah, I think that's my gamble. To me, you have to know your team and you lean on those strengths. If you just need to get it to overtime and be like, look, y'all gotten 4 turnovers. I don't know what you got to do. Somebody's got to make a play. That's just, I guess, and this could just be, Frost could have been like, you know what? They just ran the ball down our throats. We need to go get in the game. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I look at it in the lens of lean on who's gotten you there. We're only in that game because of the defense. Now, did they just kind of blow it at the end? Absolutely. They not blow it, but they look like they were tired.
They were worn out. Were worn out.
So I get it. It's just, to me, and this is where it's team makeup too. Do you think we weren't shot fighters? Memphis, double overtime? We were freaking exhausted. But all right, guys, we have to make a play.
Yeah, but that's also that's also a team that was undefeated up to that point too, right?
Of course, but I think that's just, it has to be within, that's what I'm saying. This is as much as we.
Do you remember the play that happened before that play on the,
Yeah, they called a long pass. I'm pretty sure they got to the 3-yard line on the.
No. Before that series, do you remember? Because if I recall correctly, we blew up a special teams kick returner. It was either a punt returner or a kick returner and turned that into a touchdown.
What play? And this is Memphis?
Yeah. Or no. I'm thinking about a different Memphis game, aren't I?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking 2013. It all blends together. I'm getting
Yeah,
old.
2013. Yeah. That was where Standback hit the guy.
Yeah,
just
He
destroyed
recovered.
him.
yeah.
I remember that.
That was when
That's
Memphis was bad too. That would have been a
Yeah.
huge upset if we would have lost that
Yeah.
game.
But like,
Well, we wouldn't have had the Fiesta Bowl.
Nope.
No,
I probably wouldn't have came.
no. The only game we could have lost that year was the South Carolina game, which is the game we lost pretty much.
And
that
we
was
were coming back on that one. Oh my God, that game was hot too. Oh, I remember that one.
that was the real Speedy.
That was Jadeveon Clowney, right?
Yeah, Mike
Yeah,
Davis,
first overall pick. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's this game. Like, it goes back to what you said, Roger. Like, here's the frustrating part. If you told me before the season, like after 9 games, UCF was going to be 4-5, I'd say that makes sense. Like normal, on schedule, like sure, like not a big surprise there. But when you tell me like you could have won the Kansas game, you could have won the Houston game, that's the frustrating part, knowing that we could have been ahead schedule now and being like, if we're 6-3 right now, we are very positive, looking through the prism of this season in a way different light, feeling amazing, already locked in a bowl game. But then you'd say, okay, we beat Oklahoma State, 7 wins. We win our bowl game. Holy crud, this is an 8-win season all of a sudden. This is way ahead of schedule. You're feeling amazing. And then to just kind of revert back to like, oh, well, this is where we're supposed to be. It's just that disappointment is tough.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, like, because
If
we're in
this team was a 4-win team and that was all that they were capable of, right? So going back to the could have, should have, right? And that's all they were capable of, and they barely squeaked by 4 wins. I think everybody would have been like, well, we would just, that's what this.
We'd feel worse. You're right. We'd feel worse.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think we would have. I think it would have been, hey, we were expecting 4 wins coming into this season. We got 4 wins coming into the season. We knew we got 60 some new players in.
I think
Coach Frost was behind it.
Like, I think just
go ahead.
because of how much success we've had as a program, like this is a good thing.
Oh,
I don't think we would have been happy with it. I think if you would have said at the beginning of the year, like we have 4 wins, I don't think people would be happy. I think, like, yeah, okay, I'd be happy. Like, I just think as a program, like the expectations have been set.
It's higher.
Like, I think even if we haven't seen the success, I think because we had so much success in that short period of time, it still hangs over us. Like, it's not like we're just like, that was 10 years ago. Like, we don't look at it like that. I think.
No, our expectations are higher, but it wasn't just that season, though. I mean, think about it.
No, I'm talking about even when we beat Florida in the bowl game. Like,
it goes back further than that. It goes
I'm just saying recent, like the recent. We've had success. Now, is it not? Is it Peach Bowl success? Is it Fiesta Bowl success? No, but like we've had big wins.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think 10-win seasons. What was it, like 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, and even when we lost, like I think when we lost to Tulane in the conference championship.
Oh my God, I was there for that game.
Yeah, like even as disappointing as it was, that was a good season.
You made to the conference ship. You won 9 games. Like, it was a solid year.
And I think that's why when you say, if you told us 4 wins, I don't think people would be satisfied.
I disagree because I think everybody was expecting 4 wins this year.
I'm with you on that, Trey, but my point wasn't necessarily, my point was just that, like, if you told me that, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. Not necessarily like I'm jumping for joy for 4 wins, but like, I'm just like, okay, that makes sense. It's just frustrating that knowing that we could be ahead schedule right now. And, not only that, I mean, we talked about like, all right, a good milestone this year would be a bowl game. And now to end up behind that, knowing when we could have, is just disappointing. It just feels like every year as college football shifts and changes, every loss feels like we're almost, in a sense, like cementing our status, and like we're like getting farther and away from, like, I feel like we're barreling towards this 2 super conference era, and it feels like every loss is like crushing our hopes of.
Guess what, Alan? We're going to talk about that and why I don't think it's going to be a super conference era, and I think the Big Ten just screwed it all up, and we'll talk about that when we're talking about other notes after Texas.
Regardless of how it plays out, I guess I'm just saying, like, it just feels like we keep falling farther and farther and farther from relevance. And that's the frustrating part. Whereas, like, right now, if you beat Kansas, you beat Houston, you're like, oh, well, you have 3 wins in the conference. We've already tied our Big 12 record there. Then you put on the win against Oklahoma State, all right, we have a new record in terms of like how many conference wins we've had in the Big 12. We're going bowling for the first time in 2 seasons. Like, it just feels a lot different now. It just is like, this to me, it is different because we're not getting blown out and all that. But in a sense, when we look back, it's almost like, gosh, this feels exactly like last year. In a sense, I know it's not the same. There's not as much like, apathy around the coaching staff. Like, obviously we were all done with Malzahn by the end of the year, and there was so much wasted talent and all that. So there's differences, and the culture's being built back under Frost, but like, it's hard not to feel a lot like last year when we're
Here's a question.
in the same spot.
Here's a question for you, Alan. That last roster for Gus Malzahn, if Scott Frost was the head coach, do you think we would have won more games? And how?
We're winning at least 1 or 2 more games just with putting RJ Harvey back on the field, an NFL player.
You had JRP, you had RJ Harvey, you had a couple of good receivers out there. So you tell me,
how many more years ago?
2 years. Well, even last year, well, not last year we didn't have JRP, but like even last year, like, yeah, if you put last year's roster on here with Kobe Hudson, RJ Harvey, those guys, yeah, I think there's no shot in heck we're not winning at least. At minimum, we have 5 wins right now. At minimum.
Oh, with this against this schedule, I think we would be 6-3 for sure.
I think so too.
Yeah, I have a question. Did you feel this type of way like 2016?
No. In 2016, I felt amazing because the previous year we had 0 wins, so everything felt significantly better. Like I remember being at the Maryland game that year at home. I was in attendance, and at that point,
was there too.
At that point, where it was in the beginning of the season, we're like 3-2 or 2-3, whatever we were. But taking that into overtime, I remember me and my buddy, like right after the game, we lost, and we were like obviously disappointed because we lost. We're like, we have a team again. It feels like, all right, like we're no longer this 0-12, just total horrible team. We're like, all right, we got something going again. So no, I mean, I felt way better. And plus that year we won 6 games. We went to a bowl, and after going 0-12, it's hard not to feel better.
I think we were like 6.
What is that?
We're 6-3. Like we got
at one point
early. Not early, but
yeah, that's true. And then we were in a lot of the games too. I mean, we blew that Houston game,
the Maryland game.
That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of this is like
there's similarities for sure.
Similarities, but like I think because we saw the guys we saw flash like crazy in 2016 turned out to be the studs the next year. Like I think that's 100%. What it's playing a factor, because it's like, what do we have to be excited about? Like I know me personally, I see what to be excited about. Like just who are we excited about going into next year?
I do think, okay, let's talk about the other side of the ball, because we were talking about offense, right? So Derek LeBlanc, I'm excited about him. He was a big time recruit. We got him. Sincere Edwards, who got hurt. We brought him. I'm excited. Brought him in. I'm excited.
Defensively, you're saying, yeah.
Well, that's what I said. Defense. Let's talk about the other side of the ball. I'm excited about him. Unfortunately, we lose Kelly, which sucks. Jaden McDonald lose Malachi too. Yep, 100%. We do get Isaiah Nixon back, and he's starting to do some things. I'm pretty sure we get DJ Bell back. I'm excited about him. DJ Bell has done great as a shutdown corner. Guess what? The folks that you don't hear about as defensive backs are the ones you want to want, because he's the number 1 DB right now, a cornerback for us. So I'm excited about that, right? We're going to be bringing back Horace Lockett next year, right? He went out this year. I'm excited to get him back. He was a road grader. John Walker, he'll be back for another season. We've got guys on defense. I'm okay with that. And more importantly, Grinch has not done enough yet to get another job. And I told you guys at the beginning of the season that I didn't believe all the BS that people were spewing about Grinch. And he's really done a great job with this defense. We've got a real defensive coordinator. He's talented. He calls a good he calls a good game. Not only does he prep well, not only does he have a good scheme, but he calls a good game. So I'm excited about Grinch as well. So I think defensively we're okay. I do want to ask you guys a question. Do you have any idea who Jefferson LaFontaine is?
Yeah, he was a defensive tackle transferred from Bethune-Cookman.
Okay. I had no idea who he was, and I thought
I don't think he's played, has he? Or maybe
no, he hasn't. He hasn't. That because we've been stacked at DT, right?
He's huge. He's like 360 or something like that, I think.
Yeah, but I had no idea who he was, and I thought the announcers were like screwing something up because they were calling one of their guys our guy's name because I didn't know who he was. But this guy came in. He wasn't in all game. 2 tackles, 2 solos, 1 sack, 1 TFL. No idea.
I didn't notice he was in the game. Wow.
Yeah. So one sack and 1 TFL, which was surprising, right? So I do think we've got some guys. I do think we got some guys. We'll lose some guys, but I think we've got some guys, and we've also got some guys that we'll be able to bring back. And offensively,
has some decent pieces.
I just think like exciting guy. Like that's what I guess I'm more like. I think that's why when Alan's talking about like we're kind of down and like people are upset, it's like who do we have to be excited about? Like I think Robert,
offensively.
I mean, of course, but like even defensively, like we knew we had Shaquem Griffin coming back next year, like an anchor on the defense. Did we have a lot more questions? Tristan Hill coming back in the year 2. Like, did we know we had question marks? Of course, we replaced the whole secondary, a couple of linebackers. Like we knew that, but like we still had the excitement of offense, what we're bringing back. Because at the end of the day,
but you also had George O'Leary for like, what was it, like over a decade, right? We had that continuity for his players and were able to recruit his players. As Scott Frost comes in at the
and like you're saying, but we knew Coach O'Leary could recruit. We knew the players he brought in. They just needed to develop, even if they were under recruited.
Hey, he got you over James Franklin.
Yeah, but like even then, like we didn't, as much as Malzahn won the quote unquote recruiting aspect. A lot of those guys, that's not on the roster. Like those aren't guys that are on the roster, or they're just not good enough, as Coach O'Leary would say.
Yeah, and Trey, to your point, like on defense, like Roger, I agree with you. There's definitely some guys to be excited about or happy that they're coming back. But I don't see that anchor like going into this year. Nigella Kelly, he's in every magazine, every preseason ranking, everything. I don't see a guy like that on this year, like that's returning that I'm like, oh man, like
yeah, but he wasn't out there like he wasn't out there out of the jump though. Like Kelly came from Miami.
Out of the jump, no.
He was a 5-star in Miami, didn't get any playing time, came up here. First year he didn't do a whole heck of a lot. He really came into his own this year, right? He had a lot of hype because he was a 5-star, but he wasn't performing like a 5-star until this year. Now, part of that is because he was double teamed, right? A lot, just like John Walker's double teamed a lot, right? So yeah, but I mean, what did Nigella Kelly do last year that said this year was going to be a breakout year for him?
He had,
I thought
he had a couple. He had a couple, but he'd had that. And he was expected to because he was a 5-star player.
But even that,
I just don't think we have that again.
Yeah, that's what like we're saying. Like, who is that 5-star to? Not even if it's the 5-star. Who's the exciting guy that we've seen even flash? Like you mentioned Horace Lockett, but like I don't think he's
Sincere Edwards, Bell.
I don't think these guys are like, and there's no shade to them. And I could be 1,000% wrong. Just what I've watched, I don't think that they're like anchor defenders, like anchor.
Yeah. I think Bell is a shutdown corner. Honestly, if you watch him play, he's got the length. He always plays on the number 1 receiver. He does a really good job on passes defended. He was leading the country in passes defended for a really, really long time. And they don't throw him the ball and on that side of the field. He can shut down that quadrant of the field. So I absolutely.
There might be some guys. I don't know. I'm like,
and there's a couple of guys that started coming into their own too. We had 2 4-stars out there that are safeties, safety and a DB. I can't remember their name. They're twins. They're starting to show up. So
if you told me one player, if I had to pick one player who I'm actually like, okay, he could be an anchor. I'm not saying he is right now. I would say Lewis Carter. He's a junior. Like, I think he could come back and take it.
I don't know if he's got enough size, but I think he's good.
I like him. Like, I think of all the transfers that weren't super heralded, like I know he came from Oklahoma and he was a previous 4-star, but like he still got a little bit overshadowed by some of the other transfers, plus like Kelly and Malachi and even guys like Braden Marshall.
He's our most consistent player on defense.
Yeah, and
I know what I'm getting from him every game.
I think I'm most disappointed in Braden Marshall this season, and
him and Antoine Jackson.
Exactly, Jackson #1 on my S list this year.
Yeah,
right. You heard me. If you guys see my text in the text talk, we talk about the text talk week after week. Every single week, it's Jackson. He's out of position. He's like overconfident. He's overrunning his receivers, and it's not that he doesn't have the talent, because he does.
He has a lot of talent.
He just isn't.
You got to put it together, man. You got to
mentally. He's just not there. Okay, we got to talk about Texas Tech because we got a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about. So I'm going to give you a quick preview on that. We're going to make this a quick one because we're all expecting this to be a slaughter. So. And this is the first time this season that I'm going to say.
Do you like my 2 notes for keys to the game?
I know. I did. That's why I was laughing earlier, because I scrolled down and I saw that it says don't lose by 100 and say hi to Lee Hunter. Like, those were the keys to the game for this week from Alan this week. And I agree. Like, here's the crazy thing. Lee Hunter still loves UCF, by the way. He said some stuff on his own. The man just got a bag, dude. He got I think it was like $1.6 million. Got a kid. You got to do it, man. Like, he's going to go to the NFL.
Leaving at all. They gave him so much. I would take that in 2 seconds.
Now think about if we had Lee Hunter. Think about if we had Lee Hunter this year. Lee Hunter with Horace Lockett. Like, dude.
Oh, we'd be nasty. I mean, D-line.
We would still have 4 wins. Our issue is an offensive issue. Unless Lee Hunter's playing guard too, then I think we have.
Listen, Lee Hunter can play every position on the field. Even if he played DB, he'd he'd just play press man, let the guy run to you and just throw him out of the sideline or whatever and put him out for the game. I mean, Lee Hunter's that dude. Okay, that's one guy I would not want to meet in a dark alley somewhere. All right, let's talk about Texas Tech. Texas Tech, according to ESPN, for the first time this season, 91.4% chance of winners. Morton, who's their quarterback, 1,969 yards, 142 of 216, 16 TDs, 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions. That's a heck of a ratio. This is the new SMU, basically, right? This team was bought and paid for. Their leading rusher, 800, almost has 1,000 yards already. Dickey, he's got 157 carries, 11 TDs. Their leading wide receiver is Douglas, 606 yards, 43 receptions, 5 TDs. They've got obviously a really good defense as well, right?
They're good.
Yeah, they're good. They're better than us. And if I were to describe UCF, it's an almost middle of the pack team, right? Could be, should be.
That's being generous.
Well, no, I think it's a could be, should be, middle of the pack team. Kansas is a middle of the pack team. We could have beaten them, should have beaten them. Houston is an above average middle of the pack team, but I'm still going to call them a middle of the pack team because guess what? Based on their schedule, they didn't beat a whole lot of really, really good teams. And one of the Houston players was out there talking stuff about like, hey, we own this city and we're like the space city and it's our whatever. Okay, cool. Whatever, bro. Keep talking your smack. But the fact that a 4 and whatever team that probably is going to get 5 wins almost smacked you, and West Virginia, who we beat the brakes off of the week before, beat you, you might want to hush before we clap back, right? Because we will clap back on Houston. Houston loses to us, right? That being said, Texas Tech is not that team this year. Beat Utah, which is a great team. Beat BYU.
They destroyed them
29-7, and BYU is a great team this year. So
that was a top 10 game.
The crazy thing about this, their quarterback, I like to look at quarterback stats, right? In November, he's only completing 59.4% of his passes. 3 TDs, 1 interception. Still has 133 rating because he's a tough quarterback to get down. At home for the season, he's got a 64.8% completion percentage. So it's not a crazy completion percentage. If we can get pressure on him, we can make it a longer day for them. The big problem we're going to have is their defense versus our offense, because their defense is absolutely freaking stacked. And our offense is absolutely freaking
not stacked.
So, yeah. Well, They're hurt. So, I mean, Miles Montgomery, we were talking about him earlier. Guess what? He got hurt in this game too. And he was in a sling.
When do you think our offense was its best?
This year, you're saying?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I thought they looked pretty good against UNC, but granted, a lot of teams have looked good against UNC. But to me, that was the game where I remember thinking like, okay, we found our QB1 for the season, not like long term. But I was like, oh, Tayven Jackson, like I don't want to go back to Fancher. I'm good with Jackson. I thought they looked pretty good there. And I think they obviously West Virginia stands out. Some of those scores were late game with like third stringers in, but overall, I mean, the offense again, Tayven Jackson, I thought was a big part of that win. So I think those 2 games stand out to me, but the last 2 games have just been polar opposite of that. I mean, Baylor couldn't muster a touchdown.
Look, the last 2 games.
Yeah, and it's like
100%. But a big part of that is Tayven, right? And we talked about the whys.
Yeah, he regressed.
It's all quarterback. It's a quarterback league, man.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, Trey, I think you might have even talked about this. Like, I know the 17 and 18 teams were stock full of crazy good talent, but like I know I've read something about or seen people talk about this where like Mackenzie Milton might have masked quite a few of the flaws that team did have. If there was a few, and that's what an elite quarterback does. Like, that's why this year, like you throw an elite quarterback on this team, we're winning a couple more of these games, even with the bad O-line, even with subpar receivers and stuff. So,
well, I don't think we have an elite quarterback this year, obviously, but I do think
I'm saying 100%.
a healthy Tayven Jackson, I think, is better than what you think. Because
I don't think he's that bad. I don't think he's that. I think he's the best quarterback on the roster for sure.
Oh, 100%. But I think he's a serviceable quarterback. And
he's 100% serviceable. Yeah.
And I think he might be even a little above average when he's healthy.
But where does that, what can we, like, I guess, and it's not a fault to his, but like when that's not matching up, like when you have a serviceable to an above serviceable quarterback, you need a lot more help around them.
You do. You 100%.
That's where I think we're falling short. I'm not saying he's bad. I do think, because I've seen the flashes. I mean, the arm talent's there. When he's mobile and healthy, he's not JRP, but he can run and scoot a little bit,
He
did it in a couple games too, where I was like, that UNC game had a nice rushing touchdown. I'm like, where did that guy? I mean, I know he's got a hamstring injury, but like, I remember there was a thing.
Hamstring and nobody behind him. That's where that went. That's 100% where that went.
Personally, I don't know if he is the guy. I could be completely wrong.
He's not going to be the guy next year. I can tell you that right now.
You said what?
I said he's not.
Oh, I thought you said he is. I was
he's not the guy next year. We got two. I
don't even know if he returns.
I think he does. I think we pay him his bag because a lot of it will be we're going to get 2, maybe 3 highly rated quarterbacks in next year, freshman quarterbacks, right? I think we're going to go after one good quarterback next year as well. Depending on how we do in the transfer portal with that is going to dictate tape. I mean, based on his performance this year, is he going to get paid $800,000 anywhere else?
I mean,
No.
he could not
Where?
Play.
There's no G6. There's no G6s dropping that. Maybe Tulane.
Yeah,
But they've got BYU's former quarterback. I won't say what his nickname was.
Speaking of money, Roger, like I know next year we go to like the $20 million format. Is that true? Like how you can't like Texas Tech won't be able to pay all their players essentially what they're doing.
Correct. Now they'll still have NIL that they could do it for, but it'll be more highly regulated, right? But that's why
that's my question. Like, how is it regulated? How would it be like? What would stop them from being like?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, anything over $600 has to go through the NCAA clearinghouse, and it has to be validated as an actual NIL contract where they're performing work, right, for what they're doing. Okay. That's number one. Number two, you've got the $20 million cap. Now it's going to raise, but you got the $20 million salary cap. And for us, that's not $20 million for the SEC, right? It's $20 million for us because it's 20% of your contract value of your TV contract is how they say it. Mm-hmm. So if you're making $74 million next year, 20% of that is going to be more than what we make, right? But it's up to $20 million that you can pay. Now that doesn't mean it's all going to the football team. As not for us, what Terry's decided to do, he's got a certain portion going to the revenue sports. That's the football, basketball, and then you've got scholarships, and we're spending our money on the scholarships for Olympic sports, which have panned out. That is a smart decision by Terry Mahajer. It's helped soccer out quite a bit. That's why you're seeing the success. We'll talk about that a little later. Volleyball, baseball gives them more scholarships for baseball where they're offering full scholarships and you can get better players there. But that's basically the limitation is everybody's on the same salary cap and the NIL has to be real NIL deals.
What does work mean?
Means you have to go make an appearance somewhere to earn X amount. Now, granted, teams like Texas are still going to have a car dealership that pays, like maybe they get an NIL deal with so like Mahomes. Here's the thing for Texas Tech where they're getting around it, right? Mahomes has a deal with, I can't remember who the company is, but basically they have 5 scholarships that they or 5 NIL deals that they give out per year to 5 different student athletes at Texas Tech, guaranteed for, I think it's like $1 million or $2 million through whatever company this is, in order for Mahomes to advertise as part of his advertising deal with this company, right? So they just issued the last 5. It happened last year and it's already set up for this year, but it's only 5 players that get paid that amount, right? So that's a true NIL deal because they're going to have to do stuff for this particular company that's spending a bunch of money. But the reason they're spending it is because Mahomes has agreed to advertising with them. But they're going to have to do commercials. They're going to have to show, and that eats up time. You can only do so many of those, right? So
I don't know. I haven't been in any commercial deals for money.
Well, you
give me $500,000, I'm finding time.
Well, I can maybe, but let's talk about for real on your football schedule, right? You still got to go to school.
Yeah. Who?
Right. And you
Roger,
got,
listen, Roger, if you're giving me $500,000, I'm not going to class. I can't do it.
You still got to get the grades. So unless you're North Carolina, right? If you go to UNC, you don't have to go to class. But like you got that, you got 40 plus hours as a football player. Let's be real. It's 40 plus hours a week as a football player.
More.
That's why I said plus, right? In between going to the weight room, film study, practices, travel, going to, playing the games themselves, all of that stuff. It's over 40 hours during the season as 40 plus hours in the off season as well. So you got that. And people don't realize that. Like people don't realize like how much time successful teams spend at the football facilities, right?
All day.
all day, every day in the evening. That's why they've got game rooms there and fuel centers and all that other stuff. That's why they have all that stuff, right? But at the end of the day, that only leaves so much time for real NIL deals, right? And so they're going to have to prove it. That's the limitation. Now, the NCAA is going to have to do something that they haven't ever done before, which is actually enforce it, which has been the problem. Okay, so going back to this Texas Tech game, keys of the game to me is they got to win the defensive battle. And what I mean by that is their offense is good, but it's not great. They've been able to put up points, but it's not great. When they've won games against good defenses, right? They did beat K-State 43-20. K-State's not a great defense. They beat Oklahoma State 42-0. Okay, who cares? It's Oklahoma State. ASU, they lost 26-22. Kansas, they beat 42-17. BYU, they beat 29-7. It's going to be what can this defense do to hold back? They're going to score probably 30 points on this defense. They've got a good enough offense for that. However, their quarterback versus our D line and our defense, I think we have an above average to really, really good defense. So that'll be the matchup that I want to see.
Did you say they're going to score 30 points?
I'd say they probably score.
You're saying Texas Tech.
Yeah. 24 to 30 points.
Okay.
Oh, I think they're going to score more than 30.
I don't think so. Not on this defense.
I'm thinking like 37-40.
40? Oh my God.
I mean, 30 at home, us coming off a loss, like, I mean, I don't think it's okay, maybe, I don't know. I think like upwards of 30, probably
well,
34 to 37.
They put 30 on BYU.
I mean,
they put 29. They put 29 on BYU.
Baylor scored 30 on us, and I mean, you know.
Yeah, but they were wholly.
I don't.
But Baylor. I'm just going to say this outright. No, I'm serious about this. And Trey, we talked about it, right? When we played Baylor, did they look wholly unprepared? That's the first game this season.
It was a great game.
This is the first game all season long that they looked wholly unprepared. They weren't, and you saw the difference this game against Houston.
Well, let me clarify though. They've given up 30 the last 2 games in a row. You just talked about how, like, you know, their defense is essentially going to shut down our offense because that's the strength of their team. So if the offense keeps having 3 and outs and all that, and the defense is left to just continually stay on the field, I'm not slighting the defense. I'm slighting the offense because I think it's what's going to happen.
In so many bad situations that 40 points could be inevitable just by chance.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying, oh, it's because the defense sucked. I mean, it's just they gave 30 to Houston, 30 to Baylor, and that was because the defense got worn down at the end. And we saw it. I mean,
well, not only because they got worn down, but they got put in bad positions.
And I think that could very much happen again, if especially like you're saying, Texas Tech's strength is their defense. Like, I don't see why our offense would perform any better against arguably the best defense in the conference. Like, you know, if we're struggling in general already.
Texas Tech is a playoff team. Like they're
well, yeah, they're ranked. What are they ranked now? They're ranked
number 8.
Yeah.
Or number 7, and then BYU.
So they're going to host a playoff game. Like, that's how good they are. Granted, they bought it.
If they went out 100%.
Yeah. And
okay. So let's since we're talking about scores, let's go ahead and get into our pick our poison score. All right. So I'm going to start with Trey, and I'll finish with Alan because he's going to say something crazy like 63-7.
No.
All right. Trey, what you got, bro?
I think 38-9 Texas Tech.
Hold on, I'm right. 38-9. Okay.
I got it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Alan just put 38-9 on his.
Oh no, sorry. I meant to put that on Trey's. I'll change it. All right. I'm going last, right? Huh?
No. You're going next. I want to hear what this is. Because I'll tell you why I think I'm going to put my score. Go ahead, Alan. What do you think it is?
All right. All right. I'm gonna go with. Man, I'm trying to remember what I said in the beginning. Okay, I'd say true score here. I'd say 40-13.
40-13 for Alan.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Tech.
Yes, everybody's on Texas Tech this week.
Oh,
And this is the first time.
First time.
I think this is the first time
I've never seen you. Yeah.
You've never.
No, I mean going back to Nightline days. Like I think this is the first time. I'm gonna actually pick the opposing team. I really like that 38 number, but I want to say, you know what? I'm going to be positive about this week. I'm going to say 32-21 Texas Tech.
Hey, everyone.
I don't know why. I'm just going to do it and hope for the best.
Endorsed betting UCF spread right there because the spread's 22.5. So according to Raj, we're covering.
That's the highest. That's the highest spread of the season.
You're going to make a lot of money if UCF covers. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's get into the other UCF news because we're an hour and 28 minutes in, and we still have to talk a lot of stuff. So, good conversation, but we got to talk about it. All right, so UCF brought in class of 2026. Quarterback Rocco Marriott from Missouri on a visit. He's currently committed to James Madison. What about our big commit? What are you talking about, Kane Archer?
Where?
Alan? When you said
Kane
Rocco Marriott, you said...
I'm sorry. That might have been from last week, and I didn't erase it. Sorry.
Oh, man. Okay.
I didn't write that. I didn't write that. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I didn't know who... Oh, that's the one we brought in, right?
Okay. So anyway, one person that I know we did bring in this past week was Tyron Wortham. He's on campus for the space game.
Receiver, right?
Yep, receiver.
He's committed. Yeah, right.
He was committed to someone else. We were in a battle for him. He was committed to someone else, and then for Michigan State. And then decommitted from Michigan State. He was someone we really wanted. He was committed with us, decommitted, went to Michigan State, and now he was on campus again this week for the space game. So
he's uncommitted right now.
Yeah, he's uncommitted back on our campus for the space game, and he looked really chummy. That's a guy we want and need out of high school for wide receiver.
He committed. That sucks. I forgot about that.
Yep. So the next thing I want to talk about, and we kind of talked about this.
He didn't commit.
Okay.
He committed again, and then a little bit later.
Yes.
Basically.
And now he's back on campus, and it looks like he's going to commit again.
Sean Beckton, baby.
Yep, Sean Beckton. All right. Big 12 has 3 ranked teams: number 7 BYU, number 8 Texas Tech, and number 13 Utah. So we had 2 fall out, but fairly highly rated teams. I think they should be rated higher, but that's just me. And I want to talk. I want to say this real quickly too. There was a big donation that we were talking about that was in the works. We're not talking about the Acrisure deal. That kind of fell apart. We talked about that before, but there was a big donation that we mentioned a few weeks ago. It looks like that's making some progress, and we're talking about millions here. That looks like it's making some progress and coming towards fruition as well. But the big thing I wanted to talk about in the other UCF news, and I'm going to be as quick as possible because we're at 1:30:48. I wanted to talk about this a little bit more because you were talking about realignment and the Big 2, right? So the Big 10, if you've been watching, has had this thing going on. We've been talking a lot about investment companies making investments in college football teams, right? So FSU talked about it when they were trying to get out. There was a lot of noise about it. The Big 10, the Big 12 has had a lot of conversations with PE too, or private equity, that didn't come to fruition yet, but I won't be surprised with Brett Yormark at the helm that won't. The Big 10 has been having this internal fight because they've had private equity that has been coming in, And Michigan and USC are two of the biggest brands. Michigan, obviously, being one of the like Michigan and Ohio State are the flagship brands for the Big Ten, right? USC being one of the flagship brands for the Pac, and then have now come into the Big Ten. But Penn State, Ohio State, and I can't remember the other team, basically part of this PE deal, they are approving it 10-2 with USC and Michigan abstaining because Ohio State, Penn State, and another team would get higher distribution from that PE agreement. And there would be segmentation in the revenue distribution for the rest of the teams. So Ohio State's going to get more than what USC is going to get. Now, if you have someone like USC and you have like Penn State specifically, and I want to talk about this, Penn State and Ohio State, or I'm sorry, Ohio State and Michigan, those are the heartbeat of the Big Ten Conference. And when we're talking about separating to super conferences, you cannot separate those two in the Big Ten Conference. But now Michigan's going to be getting less. They're not happy with the deal, and they're not happy with the revenue distribution at the end. So Michigan and USC have pitched a fit about this, and the Big Ten has said they're going to go through with it regardless. So what that means is that Michigan and USC are going to get less than some of the other teams that are in there. Maryland doesn't care because they're just happy to be there, right? They're going to get a 5% distribution because remember, the Big Ten is owned by teams. It's different in the Big Ten.
Yep.
As part of why they, why they got the network and all of that other stuff and why they have the revenue that they have right now. So Maryland will get like a 5% distribution. Ohio State will get a 5.5 to 5.75% distribution of the revenue that the conference generates, right? But in addition to that, the PE is stratified, so Ohio State's going to make more than Michigan. So not only is that bad, but Michigan didn't want to sign it. USC didn't want to sign it. Two of the biggest brands in the Big Ten, and they're going forward with it anyway. So it's creating a huge rift. And we're not talking about a little bit of money. We're talking about $210 million a piece per team, a little bit less for the smaller teams. So they're going through a PE obligation that ties them to the conference for a period of time. I think it's through 2044 is what it ties them to, and this distribution. And Michigan is having none of it. Like, none of it. Neither is USC. So why is that relevant to UCF? We've been talking about power conferences and the Power 2 and two leagues and the SEC and the Big Ten. If Michigan and USC are pulling back on that, if that's not remedied, and basically the rest of the Big Ten is telling them screw you. If Michigan and USC say I'm just not dealing with this, we're big enough on our own, that destroys the Power 2. I mean, that has the ability to destroy the Big Ten for Michigan and Ohio State, just for pride, for rivalry, for everything else. If Ohio State gets more than what Michigan does, Michigan will leave.
Where do they go?
They create their own conference. They start collecting other teams.
Who of value would they collect? I'm only saying because, I think they're moving forward because I think Michigan's hands are tied and USC's hands
I think they reconstitute a West Coast, Midwest to West Coast conference.
But who is the? So basically, you're saying they make a conference, and Michigan and USC are the headliners,
right?
Doesn't that just create? It's still a big super conference.
It doesn't create super conferences because you still have the Big Ten, you still have the SEC. You'd have a third option. It's just like in politics, right? We've got two options. There's other parties, but they're not relevant, right? It's the same kind of thing.
I guess that's I think that's my.
What if they pull in Notre Dame because the Big Ten, repulsed Notre Dame back in the day, right? So that's why That's why Notre Dame won't join the Big Ten. They'd rather sign a part-time deal with the ACC than join the Big Ten conference. They've had a standing invite.
Yeah.
But they were not included. I don't know, what was it, 100 years ago or 80 years ago or whatever it was, and Notre Dame won't join that conference. So what if Notre Dame, they have an affiliation with USC, they want to play out in California, they've got a historic game. What if you start collecting Notre Dame and Michigan and USC and some of the other flagship programs that are out there?
Oh, it'd be a big conference for sure.
Yeah.
I don't.
If that goes through,
I don't know. I feel that Michigan and USC's hands are tied. I don't think
they won't sign through 2044. So their deal is through 2030.
They go independent. Like
they wouldn't go independent. I think they'd form their own conference. They have enough brands that they could cobble together to create their own conference.
Why wouldn't they go the Notre Dame route?
What do you mean?
Just go independent. You schedule or
look at Notre Dame. Look at Notre Dame. Notre Dame doesn't have a tie into the playoff, right? They don't have those advantages. They don't have as much revenue that they're pulling in. Yes, they got the NBC package, which I think is $55 million, but it's not as much as the Big Ten or the SEC. They're in the 70s.
Of course not. Yeah, of course not.
So okay, now you pair. Now you put Notre Dame in that conference. Now you put
sorry, go ahead.
You put Notre Dame in that conference. You put Penn State in that conference. You put USC in that conference. That's going to generate SEC type revenue. Now, who else do you pull in there? Maybe Oklahoma, because Oklahoma isn't doing well in the SEC. Maybe you pull in some of the other former Pac schools in there. You pull Stanford in there. You pull a few other of those folks as filler. I don't know, man. You pull some of those. You pull some of the Texas schools in there. I don't know. Michigan and Ohio State is bad blood enough, and they have a big enough brand that they could go independent of Ohio State and do their own thing.
Yeah,
especially if you combine them with Notre Dame and you combine them with USC.
I mean, to me, that just brings back. Okay, we went from the P5 to the P4, and we just go back to the P5, which is fine, but
I don't think it goes back to the P5. The ACC will not. My hot take of the decade, right, is the ACC will not exist past their current contract as a power conference.
Well, no, that's fine. Whatever. I'm just making the point. So yeah, it stops the whole super thing because then you have
it goes through.
And it just I mean I mean either way.
I don't even think it would go to 3. I think it would create more opportunities for UCF. I mean, what happens then? The Big Ten's got to backfill, right? And because you got to get the content. And then if this new super conference exists, they've got to backfill. There's not that many teams out there.
Yeah.
No, they would. I mean,
I agree. I guess now we're into playing the who's in, who's out game. Ultimately, is what it would turn into.
I mean, if you are under the impression that we're not in the who's in, who's out game right now, then you're Terry Mohajir.
As of today,
yeah, like we are.
If you eliminate the ACC and hypothetically Michigan and them create a conference, we're kind of screwed because they're gonna take Texas Tech is getting picked. BYU is gonna get picked.
Yeah, it would make Big 12 irrelevant.
Stanford will get picked. I don't know if they pick up UCLA just to throw them a bone.
So if anything, I think this thing could hurt us more than.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Where do we go? I mean, unless we go SEC, but I don't.
If they're all 20, right, you got to get. But and it could hurt us more in this sense. And this is what I've been saying since we joined the Big 12. The Big 12 is our stage to get to the next conference. Because the ACC is not going to be there. And the likes of Duke in football, the likes of a lot of those ACC teams that were Tobacco Road type teams, they're not going to make it. But
it sounds like you're just saying, okay, so instead of a 2-team, it's going to turn into a 3-team.
You think Syracuse would get picked over UCF right now?
No, I'm saying like the ACC is going to be done. Is what you're saying. So now we're down to 4, and then they're going to backfill with the rest of the Big 12, which sounds like the Big 12 is done. I mean, basically.
Well, right now, okay, so as it stands right now, I think the Big 12 is going to strip away some of the ACC teams. I think the Big 10 is going to pick up a few, and I think the SEC are going to pick up a few.
I do agree with that.
Right.
I'm more so saying if essentially a version of the Pac-12 is reinvented, that's what it would be happening. If Michigan, USC, Penn State branch off, that's going to be a version, and you take you're basically going to make a BYU. That's going to become a reinvented Pac-12, which a Pac-12 with Michigan and USC headlining it is a lot different.
I don't think it would be a Pac-12 because I think there'd be more Midwest teams in it. But let's say it's 4x16, right? So 4 conferences at 16. You're talking about 64 total teams.
We'd be in there. I agree. I think we'd be in there.
That's what I'm saying. I think UCF is safer. I think UCF's good no matter what because we ended up picking up the Big 12 and the ACC is the next one on the chopping block, right? So I think we've got a stay of execution. But my point has been since before we joined the Big 12, I've been saying this on these podcasts. If you've been following along, UCF right now, how we perform in the Big 12 is going to set the stage for the next relegation. We're competing with Miami. No, we're not a blue blood. No, we don't have the brand, but Miami has done nothing for 20 years. And we're competing with Miami. If we kept up and we did what we needed to do in the P4 conference, UCF becomes more attractive than Miami because Miami's a small school with a small footprint, etc. So if Terry Mohajir talking about all this crap with in his Baylor interview where he's being reactionary, right, and saying, "Hey, we're being reactionary." If he's not planning right now on competing with Miami, that should be his target. Not Arizona State. It should be Miami, right? It should be Miami. If you're not thinking about competing, and Florida State is in a cluster right now.
Agreed.
They paid way too many coaches, starting with Jimbo Fisher, to fire too many coaches, and they're not doing anything right now. This would be the time. If UCF had stepped up and been relevant in college football and not a 4-win football team, we're playing for 2030 and 2035 right now.
I guess that's my thing. Like,
that was my point at the beginning.
As of today, like November 10th, 2025, at 11:14, 10:14, where Roger's at.
That's right.
If you were to pick Miami or UCF, and we're starting these super conferences,
Miami gets in. Miami gets in.
Yeah. And I think that's where I'm worried. Not necessarily like if they were to start it today. I know it's not going to be today. I think we have time. You say like the 2030 season out there. Is that when the ACC deal is? When is that deal?
I think it's 2033 is when the
I
ACC
think that's when like the big next or around that time is like the big shuffle. They're going to start preparing for it.
But going back to that Power 2 thing, right? Going back to that Power 2 thing, I think the Big Ten's next round of contracts is 2030, which means if that's going to happen, and if a split does happen, if the Big Ten forces it down Michigan and USC's throat, I think it could happen. I think those are brands that are big enough on their own, and I think they're brands that are big enough to say F you, to go on principle, especially between Michigan and Ohio State. This is basically an Ohio State power move, right?
Yeah, 1,000%.
I think that Michigan would go out on its own and go create another conference.
I think they would. I don't know. I don't know the money.
If you include East Coast teams, I could see that conference grabbing Georgia Tech because I don't think Georgia Tech's big enough of a footprint within. They've got Atlanta Metro, which is like 6 million people, but they don't have a big enough footprint. Georgia dominates the state of Georgia, right? So again, I think they go and grab those folks. But, if you open up the East Coast, that opens up a lot of doors for UCF. I think that may, if it continues the way it is, and they say they are, and they're going to move forward, and they voted on it and all this other stuff, they move forward, I think that may blow up that Power 2 narrative.
I have a question. I don't want to get too caught on this.
And we're at 1 hour and 46 minutes.
So, hypothetically, if there were a Power 2, Notre Dame's in that Power 2. So they would be forced to join a conference.
Notre Dame won't go into the Power 2. They'll have an accommodation.
So why wouldn't I think Michigan would have this same type of cachet if they wanted. I don't know the money part. I'm not going to speak to the money part.
Michigan will not go independent because of playoff access. Notre Dame doesn't care because their mission is a religious one.
Yeah, and they already have built-in playoff.
I'm telling you, they got $55 million. They don't care about the rest. They got money already. It's Notre Dame.
But Notre Dame, like, I don't know if you've seen the ranking. They have a built-in. As long as they're a good team, they're gonna get an invite. Sadly,
they're not. They're not in right now. They're in right now. How many times has Notre Dame been in?
Notre Dame.
How many times has Notre Dame been in?
Whenever they're in the playoff, whenever they're any kind of good, they're in.
Oh, they're in the playoff almost every year.
Whenever they're good. Now, if they're horrible, yeah. But like, I think they're something 8-2.
They made it to the championship last year. What are you talking about?
Hold on. How many times has Notre Dame
they've made it to the playoffs at least 3 times. They lost to Alabama in the championship, like in 2012. They were last year
3 times: 2018, 2020, and 2024.
Yeah, that's a good amount.
So they made it 3 times as an independent.
That's
because it's Notre Dame on their own.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's like a.
But now, if you start saying, okay, well, Michigan's now competing with you, and USC is now competing with you, that math don't math anymore.
That's true,
right? So,
are you saying Notre Dame wouldn't get into what?
The like playoff? The independent bias
they're competing. If the whole premise of this was if Michigan, Trey's question was if Michigan and USC separate and go indie, right? Now that independent spot for the playoff that was built for Notre Dame, now they're competing with USC and Michigan.
Oh, if they go indie, you're saying? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Instead of building a separate conference.
I thought you were talking about just do they make it to like do they get picked to go to a
no? The only reason Notre Dame isn't in conference is because the ACC isn't good enough, and the Big Ten they're saying screw you Big Ten because you told us no like 80 years ago.
Yeah,
probably Notre Dame's made it 6 times.
An interesting wrinkle. It is.
So, all right. Let's go ahead and keep going here because Alan's got some stuff. I've got some stuff. We haven't even talked about hoops, like nothing. Yeah. So, and we will talk more about Texas Tech with a Texas Tech affiliate, and we've got like literally 11 minutes left. So I'm going to go speed dating here. All right. So when it comes to hoops, UCF played Vandy, lost 93-105, completely got blown out. The thing that scares me about that is that Vandy, number one, was a sharpshooting team. We absolutely knew that. We did not defend the 3-point line well, and we were down by 26 points before the half because of that. We're not rounding out and shooting the 3-pointers like we should just yet. And out of, except for Kugel, we're not really, really good at attacking the paint. So do I think every team is going to be a team like Vandy? No. Will we be more competitive than that? Yes. Am I worried against good three-point shooting teams? Yes. Is that going to happen more often? Yes. The good news is the Big 12, they may have some good shooting teams, but nothing like Vandy. They are literally a 3-and-D team. So what do you take away from that? I mean, we shot 38.9% from the 3, which is almost 40%, which is a good percentage. They shot 56.3%. And it was much higher in the first half. What's that?
It's hard to beat a team like that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're shooting that, I mean, points in the paint, they got 40. Actually, they shot, hold on, let me back it up. They shot 38.9% from 3. We shot 56.3. They were over 50% first half. They ended up, which is why it was closer towards the end. It got within 11 points, but it was bad. They shot 55.9%. We shot 53.4% from the field. which is nuts. Those are high numbers and not what Johnny Dawkins see. A lot of that was defending the 3-point line, and we didn't do a great job of that. Points in the paint, they had 44, we had 42, so relatively close. They had 25 fouls, we had 19. Largest lead for them, 27. Largest lead for us was 3, and that was very, very early on. We shot better on the free throw line, 78.6% this game versus 88.2 for them. So again, part of it was the free throw line, but we can't get down early like that. Next up, we have Florida A&M at 7 p.m. at home for a military night. Do I see a lot of games going like Vandy? No. But I do see this team's going to have problems with the 3-point line, especially because we can't counter it by slowing the game down and getting into the paint. And that's the biggest problem that we're going to have this season. Okay. And again, in the interest of speed, because we're an hour and 52 minutes in and nobody wants to see us for more than 2 hours. Listener love, shout out to Econ Advisor. He starts off, says, season opener after 2 grueling exhibition games versus Duke and LSU, put up great fights in both, taking LSU down to the final minutes. Could this be the year Dawkins get back to March Madness like in 2019? Econ Advisor, I love you, bro. Love the comments, everything, but no. This is the year that Johnny Dawkins gets his retirement tour going. All right. Lastly, he says a 45-minute late start is so absurd. This goes back to the Terry thing. They should start women's game an hour earlier. No other university does this, and it really hurts attendance. 100%. They had the men's basketball game was set for 8 o'clock. They ended up starting at 8:45, which was absolutely crazy and speaks to the admin. So thank you, Econ Advisor, for those comments. Keep them coming. I can tell you we've seen a big difference in viewership with folks when they're not as excited about it, but we still get 15,000 views a month. So thank you everyone for doing that. Please make sure you're liking, subscribing, commenting, because we interact with each and every one of those. Make sure you're sharing it with your friends, and we appreciate you. Okay, moving on, because we have to, not because I want to. Let's go ahead and get into Alan's Oxymoronic stat of the week. We've got 6 minutes to finish that and the other UCF sports. So let's go.
Okay. Short one today, especially in the interest of time here. Road record for UCF since in 2000, basically from 2007 or 16 to 2018, they obviously only lost 3 road games in that entire span. Since 2019 and onwards, UCF is 15-21 on the road. And the last 4 years, 2021, 1 road win, 2023, 2 road wins, last year 1, this year 0. So it's been tough sledding for UCF away from home.
Thank you for that, Alan. And I don't think it gets any better against Texas Tech, unfortunately. All right, let's go ahead and swim it. Since we don't have Josh's sometimes funny fact of the week, let's get a quick update on other UCF sports that Alan does not watch, and neither does Andrew, and we do. So couple of some good news here. Unfortunately, we're not going to start with UCF women's soccer. It's good news, bad news. UCF women's soccer lost in the quarterfinal round of the Big 12 tournament against Colorado. Top 10 Colorado, by the way, but are a 7 seed and will host Maine in the Virginia Regional Friday night at 7 p.m. So make sure you tune in for that. We were ahead 2-0 going into the half, but the Colorado has the number 1 scorer in the country. Their coach said coming in, the first 15 are going to be important. And that first 15, we were lazy in passes. We played defensively, and they scored 3 goals. And we tightened up after that first 15 of the second half, but it wasn't enough to win. This team has done really, really well this season, and they're worth the watch on Friday night at 7 p.m. Men's soccer won their first game in the Sun Belt tournament championship against number 4 Georgia Southern in a come from behind victory. They won in double OT 3-2. They were down 2-0 ended up winning 3-2. Next up is number 1 Kentucky, Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the quarterfinals. I know I say Sun Belt, everybody rolls their eyes, but the Sun Belt Conference, as far as men's soccer is concerned, is really, really good. UCF volleyball is 15-9 after beating Houston in straight sets 3-0. And then number 24, Iowa State. This is huge, 3-0. Next up is Cincinnati at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, and at West Virginia at Friday at 7 p.m. This is the best women's volleyball conference in the country, and they have 2 top 10 teams left in the last 3 weeks of the regular season. So I expect this UCF volleyball team to be tourney bound as well. This, in spite of being 15-9, the crazy part about it is they have, I think, 5 or 6 other teams that are going to be going to the tournament this year. That'll finish us off for this week. We talked about a lot of different things. We talked about realignment. We talked about, Texas Tech. We talked a lot about where we are, what's coming back next year, what the expectations were for this team. And it's just absolutely crazy to think where we started with this team, where we are with this team, and where those expectations were. So make sure that you're supporting the team. It's been a roller coaster. Texas Tech's going to be tough. Honestly, none of us thought we were going to win. First time ever I've said UCF's not going to win, but watch them anyway. Make sure you're supporting your team. TikTok Terry's got a lot of work. I still think, we talked about him quite a bit on this episode. I still think he's not the right leader for UCF, so I hope that changes. That's it for this week. Go Knights and
Charge on.
Charge on, baby. Hope you're enjoying the music, and I'm going to say the random stuff for Josh since he's not here this week. He's recovering from vocal issues and whatever.